now. You might. so now here's the thing: when we talk about the space station and the people talking, having communication, and all that stuff, tell me something about what's going on in the government these days. I mean, everyone knows that the news is pretty hyped based on what the Pentagon is releasing. These reports based on even the Obama just said that there's something out there we do not know. I met a lot of when I was going for my pilot training, and I asked many really, really senior pilots about did they ever had a chance in their 30, 35 years flying experience. And they always say they have seen in multiple parts of the world, not just the United States, not the Pacific or Atlantic, but multiple parts of the world, that things above 30,000 feet are like standing still or flying along on the other side, but these are weird. These very weird maneuvers and all that stuff. Now, they're talking about 35-year-old stuff as well, some very old, like senior pilots. Have you ever had an experience being when you were in the military, any of the pilots reported something that was like, wow, we don't know what that is?
I can say honestly, no. I've never experienced, and I flew in a two-seat airplane for a while in the Army, and then I did J-Stars, which was in a Boeing 707 for about my last 5 years in the Army. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever heard anybody report anything weird or something like that. Now, going back to what you said right there about the reports and stuff about the UFOs and stuff that that they've actually seen. Do I believe there's stuff out there? Yes. I don't believe that we can be the only life. Yeah, we can't be the only life in the whole universe. I mean, the universe is humongous. There's so much stuff out there we haven't even seen or even thought of yet, that there's got to be life out there. Now, I used to do a program on my computer called SETI at home. They don't do it anymore, but SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And they search for radio signals, and they use the Arecibo radio telescope I want to say it's in Puerto Rico. But they used to use that telescope, and they would sit there and use computers to analyze it. And they'd actually use everybody's computer, so it's like one big supercomputer when you actually, pull all these computer resources together, and they're able to analyze all this stuff a lot faster than using like one computer that they have there. So I did that for a long time, and as far as I know, I don't know if they ever found anything, but to be honest with you, I think there's stuff out there. We just aren't looking in the right places, I think.
I think I believe that too. I mean, I was not like an alien believer religiously, but when I heard about that stuff, I know when I was growing up in Saudi Arabia in the Middle East area, and I heard that people used to say, I mean, it's weird. I mean, I've been to Himalayas. I was transferred in my broadcasting jobs there. And people do report like this indigenous, they see weird flying objects. Now, they don't know. Maybe it might be a test plane or something else. But the shape they describe is weird. It says it's something like a triangle, or it's like a circular plate is flying.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, it was not like you believed what they are talking about. I was like, before a couple of years, like, okay, maybe, perhaps, like, but now yes, you're right. I mean, I do agree with that. Like, there might be way more intelligent than us, which we might not even be close to them when it comes to the intelligence or technology, as there are 11. So in physics, it's known that there are 11 dimensions, and I think things might be on the other dimensions we can't see, or they might have cracked open the door into our dimension and go back to there. Whatever these things are, I don't know. One thing I talked to one of the medical professors, and almost like a month ago, and he told me one thing. He said, I can't disclose everything, but I can tell you one thing. I said, what is that? And he said, look, when we crack into the DNA, human DNA, one thing is very, very I mean, it's weird, and that is it. There's 100% guarantee that we have been the intelligence thing has been programmed externally.
Mm-hmm.
How, when, what, we don't know.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
you look at some of the things that we have on Earth. Okay, for instance, the pyramids. Okay,
Yes.
how did they build those gigantic block or move those gigantic blocks? I mean, yes, they had thousands and thousands of slaves, back in the time to move that stuff, but
Hmm.
you're talking about massive, massive stones that would
Exactly.
take thousands upon thousands of people to move it a couple of feet.
Exactly.
And to me, that was a major feat to get those things built like they did. Um, so, and plus, having it such geometry on it, was amazing at the time. I've never been there to see it. But I would love to go and look at it one of these days just to see the amazement of how they built that stuff. That to me is just amazing.
That is marvelous. I mean, the stones, most of them, like there's a granite and basalt, which has the hardness levels close to, let's say, so at a scale of 1 to 10, the diamond is a 10, it's close to like 7 and 8, which it's not easier without any hard material to, cut it down or refine it, smoothen it out. I don't think so. And the same thing goes with the Puma Punku and Machu Picchu. You see that they're thousands of years old, and from hundreds of miles they brought these stones on that location. But how?
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I don't understand that, but there's got to be something else, that that has done that. Who knows? I believe. I don't know if you ever watched the. It's an old TV show when I was growing up called Project Blue Book.
Yes.
Which
It's
was a TV show that was it was fiction. It wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
nonfiction, but it was based on the actual Air Force's Project Blue Book. One of the opening scenes, I think, if I remember, because this is back when I was a kid. I'm an old guy now, but
You don't look like one.
but one of the first things I remember hearing about was in the Bible was Ezekiel saw the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Was one of the things in there, and that the wheel was a UFO. That's basically how they started UFOs back. We're talking about biblical days,
Right. Yeah.
So it's they've been around for a while. And the whole question I have is, if they've been around that long, what are they waiting to show themselves? Are they waiting for us to get to a technological level of them, or that they feel that we're good enough to talk to, I guess? Or, you know what I'm saying?
That's a really good question or answer together, whatever you're talking about. That's just a very, I would say, sometimes I feel that we might be a byproduct of some higher civilization. We never know. They may came up and see, is the cattle going on?
Mm-hmm.
Just like we have the cattle, and we see around the cows, how these are, everything's fine. Boop, back. They don't even know we're there sometimes. So it might be something. And if you go into the caves, the thousands of years old caves, you see some of the saucer or wheel in the sky, and people are just looking at them just like the gods.
Oh yeah,
it's
amazing that you see this stuff in old history or old, like I said, biblical text and stuff. That this stuff has been going on a long time, and nobody's been able to explain any of it. And then we talk about modern day today. Now, you got other ones like Roswell, New Mexico, where people say, a UFO crashed there. Now, here's the thing, though, and a lot of people, it's something to think about, too, is that after that crash, remember, back then, look at our technology back in the 50s. It wasn't really that great, but then it just exploded after that time.
Yeah.
So where did we get all this technology from? Like, for instance, you got the space shuttle, all the Apollo missions and stuff like that. All this technology just started happening, and it was, I mean, it just came out, rapid fire. But
Exactly.
we went, probably hundreds of thousands of years, and then all of a sudden, at that particular moment in time, it just exploded. So where did we get that from? And that's one of my questions to the government. There's like, do we really have something that we've been using to reverse engineer?
I know it's weird when one of the reporters asked Donald Trump about, do you know anything about it? He said, well, I have open mind. I'm not a believer, but I have an open mind. It was something that he knew, something that he's not telling us.
Well, that's a good question. He may not have been able to tell us, or he
Yeah.
may not even know it. I mean, to
Yeah.
be honest with you, I don't think any president is briefed on this stuff.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
because I don't know if you remember that movie Independence Day, where the president's like, how did I not know about this? And his his secretary, or his one of his secretaries is like, plausible deniability. So
Yeah.
what you don't know,
Exactly.
you can't say anything about.
And Secretary of Defense knew about it.
Yeah. So
It's crazy. I mean, we don't know what is out there. And as I said, I mean, I spoke to, when I was back there in the Himalayas areas, and I talked to a couple of people, those who saw, and asked them, what type of things did you see? What did they look like? And at that time, they said triangle something. And sometimes says it's like a saucer, it's like a plate. They would say it's a plate flying.
yeah.
And most likely the people there used to say, oh, these are Americans. I mean, any newer technology is being pushed or stamped onto the U.S.
Yeah.
That might be Americans, and one of my friend asked me why everything happens in the United States, or why these aliens only visit. I said, no, go and look into the history. Go and ask around the people in different governments. Everyone knows it's appearing. It's being shown on every part of the world. There are many reports that I was looking on the internet, like in Russia, even the China released a report and all that stuff. I mean, we don't know. I mean, whatever these things are, these are showing much in random.
Yeah, and it's not just like you said. And some of these other countries keep a tighter lid on stuff than we do. I mean, some of these countries, are locked down pretty bad, as far as, freedom of expression and stuff like that. So they're not allowed to say, hey, this is what I saw. The government probably steps in and goes, if you say anything, we're going to, take you to the gulag or whatever, But, United States is much freer. So we actually, if somebody does get a picture of something or sees something, it's on the internet like almost immediately now. So
Exactly. I spoke to one of the retired CIA person, and pretty at a very high position in the department, and he was like 75, 76 years old. It's like almost like a year ago. And when I spoke to him, very interesting guy. It was really great to talk to him. And he told me, I told him, just teach me something, the lessons that you have learned about good things in your life, so I can get these things quickly. I mean, I can learn from you. Teach me something, what you have learned. He said, go and study those ancient, these pyramids and all that stuff, and you will get your answer in no time. And I didn't know what he was talking about until now, when I started, studying all these things, and I was like, there is something down there. Maybe we know and we are not. We don't want everyone to know until, I don't know.
I agree with you. There's something out there, and we're just gonna have to. We may not see it in our lifetime, but I'm pretty sure, in the future, who knows? It might be something like Star Trek, where, we get first contact and then we go on and start exploring. I don't know. I mean, we're already starting to do that. We're already looking at going to Mars, I think, in the next 10 years or so.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
At 2030, yeah.
Yeah, and so, we're already talking about going back to the moon, which is something I'm very excited about because I grew up. I was like, I want to say 3 or 4 years old when the first moon landing happened.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was 3 years old because it was 1969 it happened. I was born in 1966. So, yeah. I was 3 years old. I remember the Apollo missions. I remember watching them on TV, as a kid. And I do remember the last Apollo mission, which was the Apollo Soyuz mission. I remember watching that on TV. And, we just need to, us as a nation and as a world, because I think it needs to be like the ISS, the International Space, it needs to be an international effort to go to the moon again. And this time we need to go and explore a lot more than what we did in those, I think it was 6 missions that actually landed on the moon. So we need to do a lot more than that. I mean, we're talking about almost 40, years ago, almost 50, that we've been to the moon. We stopped going to the moon almost 50 years ago. That's amazing that a half a century we haven't been back.
It doesn't sound weird.
It does.
It does sound weird. Why?
I don't know. And, here's the other thing is that, we've only done low Earth orbit since then. We've never ventured any farther out. So we have to, and in order for us to go to the moon, or not moon, but to go to Mars, we have to be able to go back to the moon first, because we'll be able to launch to Mars from there because, of course, the gravity's a lot, 1/6 the Earth's gravity. So the launch vehicles can be a lot smaller. They don't need to be as big and bulky as they do on Earth. Even launching it from space, from the space station, would be a lot better than launching it from Earth because, as you know, when you launch something from Earth, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to break free of the Earth's gravity. So once you get out in space, there's really nothing to it, so you don't need all that bulk.
That is phenomenal. I mean, it's weird and phenomenal. I had one of my friend been here almost 3 days ago. No, 4 days ago. He is a photographer, and he was actually taking pictures of the moon, and he had he just bought a very large lens, and he was shooting the moon, and he was making some video. He actually showed me a video clip. It was so close to the moon. He ran into one small object was flying like this. He thought it's a debris. Then there's another one. There's a third one, and there were 3, 4 coming faster, and then they were just flying in like a collaboration together as a one unit. And he was showing me, what is that? And I was like, it's a real video in your camera. What are these things? First I thought, oh, no, it's a debris. No, but how? The other thing coming from back, joining the other one, matching the same speed and the same trajectory, and then slowing down together with all of the other ones. And these were 5 or 6.
Well, you got to remember too, we do have unmanned stuff going to the moon. I mean, I think China's actually just launched some stuff to the moon. So, I mean, it could have been something that we put up there. I mean, we do have stuff orbiting the moon still. But, yeah. In fact, there's stuff, a lot of people, and here's another, I mean, we can get off on this little tangent here, but there's a lot of people out there that don't even believe we actually went to the moon.
I know.
But the proof's out there that we have, because, for one, the biggest thing of proof is the laser reflector that Apollo 11 put on the moon when they landed. It's still actually being used today because they measure the distance from the Earth to the moon every day, pretty much, to make sure that that's how far the moon is and stuff. So they get a very accurate, down to I think I want to say an inch or a centimeter is what the accuracy is of that laser that they fire up there. But they also, if you have, a lot of people say, well, I can't see the landing sites. Well, you're not going to see them from Earth, for one thing, because here's the problem. Earth has an atmosphere, okay? And air does distort, telescopes. That's the reason why we have the Hubble Space Telescope out in space versus on the ground, because it can see a lot further out because it's not hindered by the atmosphere. So all these little, hobbyist telescopes that are looking through the atmosphere, you can't get a clear enough picture. Plus, the mirrors on them are so small that you're not going to see, a lot of detail anyways. I mean, you might get like 1 or 2 meter resolution, and you might see like a blurred object there or something. But you're going to need something, and they've actually shown, with orbits over it, the landing site. So you can actually, they have pictures of the landing sites where you can see the pieces that we've left on the moon. I mean, you got to remember, we did leave the ascent stage is still sitting on the moon for each lunar orbiter or lunar lander. Each ascent stage is still there, or descent stage. I'm sorry, not the ascent. The descent stage is still there because that was the platform that they blasted off of to get back up to the Apollo spacecraft, the command module. So the thing is, though, is that there's still stuff up there you can see. You just can't see it from Earth because of the atmosphere. Now, people have said, well, why not just point the Hubble telescope at it? Well, here's the thing. The Hubble was not designed to look at something that close.
That close, exactly.
The Hubble was designed to look out into deep space. So it can't really focus on something that close like the moon. A lot of people say, well, the moon's this, so many miles away. I said, it's considered close. I mean, we don't even look at the planets with the Hubble Space Telescope. We look at stuff outside of our galaxy with that thing. That was what it was designed to do. But, there's still all the skeptics out there that think that we haven't been, that we faked it, we did it on a soundstage. Here's the one big problem with that theory. There were hundreds of thousands of people in the Apollo program. You can't tell me that every one of those, not one person has come out and said it's fake and provided proof that it was fake, because someone would have leaked that. I mean, as many leaks as we have in the government today, someone would have leaked that.
And there's not a single one.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just like a lot of people say there's Earth is flat. Flattest.
Oh, God, don't get me started on the flat earthers, because those guys are just as bad.
This conspiracy is so bogus.
Yes.